Hi there, and welcome to the July 2025 tarot reading for our world. Last month, one of the questions I asked drew the Knight of Swords card, and it warned of war if immediate steps were not taken to change things. Evidently, those steps were not taken, and now we're watching Iran and Israel trying to destroy one another, which is very painful to watch. This led me to ask about the future of Israel. And before I could draw a single card, a brief download came, which I typed up as it came to me. I ended up not even drawing a card for that question. The remaining questions had to do with Trump's decision to bomb Iran and handling all of the conflicting stories coming at us. And then I close with advice from both the animal kingdom and the plant world. So let's see what the cards have to say. The questions asked were, number one, what is the future of Israel? Number two, what is the long-term outcome of Trump's sudden bombing of Iran? Number three, given all the lies, the fake narratives, the financial warnings, the political conflict, and dire predictions of disastrous earth changes, what is most helpful for us to know and prepare for? Number four, what advice does the animal kingdom have for us in July? And finally, number five, what advice does the plant kingdom have for us in July? And the cards drawn were, well, there was no card for question number one, but question number two was the Five of Pentacles. In response to question number three, I drew the King of Swords. In response to a request for advice from the animal kingdom, we got the Wolf. Wow. And number five, in response to the plant world or questions to the plant world, advice from them, I drew Damiana, number 11 in the Herbal Astrology Oracle. So let's go a little bit deeper here. Question number one, what is the future of Israel? As mentioned above, as soon as I asked that question, I heard the following message. If Israel wasn't so paranoid, they wouldn't be so worried about the need to defend themselves. If Israel wasn't so obsessive compulsive, they would know when enough bombing is enough. If Israel wasn't so wounded, they would stop wounding others. If Israel had leaders to lead them instead of psychotics to drive them, there might be peace in the world. If Israel wasn't so selfish, they would make room for others on the land. If Israel wasn't so delusional, they might be able to see that it's a peaceful world. If Israel wasn't so intent on ruling the world, they might be able to manage themselves. If Israel wasn't so immature, they might be able to communicate instead of assassinate. If Israel wasn't so arrogant, they might be able to get along with others. If Israel were a little more realistic, they might find reality a little less threatening. And if Israel were a little less threatening, they might discover their neighbors are good people. That was it. I decided to just write down what I heard and leave it for others to contemplate. It seemed to be a message that was not judgmental as much as it was just observational. I know the people of Israel are very touchy about things said about them. They cry anti-Semite every time someone makes a realistic comment on their behavior. But they are not Semites, and Jewry is a religion, not a bloodline. A religion is something to believe in when you need help structuring your life and behavior. And beliefs are choices that substitute for personal experience and real knowledge. Because once you know something, you don't need much in the way of belief. Question number 2. What is the long-term outcome of Trump's bombing of Iran? And the card drawn here was the Five of Pentacles, a card that holds many messages and possibilities for valuable lessons, but most of them learned the hard way. When you look at the card, you see a dark, cold, snow-covered scene in which 2 raggedy-looking figures are walking past a church as more snow falls. One of them is a blind man, and the other is lame and needs crutches. The lame man is also wearing a plague bell. There's a stained glass window in the church with 5 pentacles in the glass design. The overall message of this card is that need and misfortune call forth all of one's talents, skills, and capacities to overcome the hardship. The white falling snow is highlighted against that black wall of the church, symbolizing the black and white nature of the situation. No more romanticizing or excusing or explaining can help. The situation must be recognized for what it is and responded to appropriately and with common sense. The light shining through that stained glass window symbolizes that light and warmth and wealth still exist, but we are shut out of that space. I hope that's not our long-term outcome. This then calls for accepting our share of the responsibility for the situation we find ourselves in. We are creating the reality that we see, think, and feel in our consciousness. In surveying what has been created and taking responsibility for the situation, we can shorten the time that it takes to return to that light, warmth, and wealth that still exist in the world. The 2 figures walking through the snow symbolize the need to work together, to pool our abilities and help one another. The blind man symbolizes those who just cannot see, refuse to see, and did nothing to prepare. The blind man is being helped by the lame man who is guiding his direction. You know, the lame man's using his eyes to see and helping avoid major obstacles. The lame man does not have the use of both legs, so it's hard to move forward. But he's managed to come up with crutches that enable him to walk. Blindness and lameness symbolize a wide variety of shortcomings that range from short-sightedness to physical disabilities to serious biases to prejudice. The message here is that everyone has certain shortcomings, and we need each other to navigate daily life. The card urges us to assess ourselves honestly and to accurately take account of what we need. Be honest. What do we need? What will we need? Then we are to accurately assess our talents and skills. Then, by working together, many problems can be solved and obstacles overcome. Crutches symbolize a difficult situation with many needs for help and support. However, they also say that there's a solution to the problems and that aid and support are available if one does not waste time looking in all the wrong places or trying to make the past solutions work for the present situation. You can't sit and cry about what used to be. The plague bell worn by the lame man is an old-fashioned way of warning other people that some type of danger exists. This hints that some of the difficulties and obstacles may include infections and health issues that are more troublesome and more difficult to recover from. You know, we recover from some things quickly and easily. Other things, not so quickly and easily. It also represents getting others' attention. This may include broadcasting to the world that you, your group, or your city are surviving and are working together in case others are searching for like-minded people or safe places. The snowy ground symbolizes the need to clear something away, clean it up in order to heal and restore the self or the situation. Snow also warns against useless behavior and rebellious destructiveness, for these waste energy, and they just make matters worse. Pentacles, the suit of pentacles, represent the earth and all the things of earth that make up our material world. Our homes, possessions, finance, human creativity, talents and skills, all of it. Pentacles also represent psychic ability, perception, and insight. And the number 5 is a turning point number and indicates a choice of path that is definitive and has no going back. The 5 of Pentacles indicates a path that leads to destitution and hardship. But instead of collapsing in despair, it encourages working together in order to relieve those hardships. It is a card of disruption and crisis, and it represents a severe break in the ordinary routine of days. There's an old saying that goes with this card, and it goes like this, quote, "The capacities of one who works alone will add up, but the capacities of those who cooperate with others will multiply." Again, the 5 of Pentacles is a reminder that we may be entering a time when the need to work together is critical. The advice associated here is that sometimes it is necessary to throw in the towel, to accept defeat and our losses, and then come to terms with all of that. Of course, there's always or already a great deal of unnecessary need and sorrow in the world because we have accepted a system that thrives on not caring and not sharing. That's our system. It's a feast or famine kind of world, with a great majority of people caught in the famine and only a few enjoying the feast. The 5 of Pentacles is also known as the Lord of worry and material trouble. It points to a period of time in which effort, heavy effort, and work are sharply defined. However, this card is also a womb symbol, meaning that something new is being born from the difficulty. The 5 of Pentacles is a card of tension between stability and change, change that leads to conflict and strife, as well as a turning point or decision point that must now unfold according to whatever decision was made. And we're talking here about the decision to bomb Iran. So that decision is made, and now we're going to have to live out the results. Key words for the Five of Pentacles are crisis, destitution, instability, struggle, turning point, risk, worry, versatility, uncertainty, disruption, rigid, abrupt, finances, income, insecurity of material goods and supplies, strain, loss of job or money, and ill health. Question number 3. Given all the lies, the fake narratives, the financial warnings, the political conflict, and the dire predictions of disastrous earth changes, what is most helpful for us to know and prepare for? The card drawn in response to this question was the King of Swords. This is a powerful card that has everything to do with taking charge of our own thinking and perception in regards to what we are observing. It's a card that points to the ability to be the master of your own mind. Swords are the suit of the intellect. And since our question is about lies, fake narratives, financial warnings, political conflicts, and dire predictions, the King of Swords is asking us to take charge of our own narrative. Create your own narrative. The King is master of knowledge, who asks each one of us to answer the question, what do I know at this moment in time? Of course, kings represent great power, someone who makes decisions that they think are useful or helpful or that they want. And this card says we must do the same or we will end up lost in the wild blue sky of competing stories and be unable to determine what is real and what is not. When you look at the card, you see a man sitting on a throne. The throne extends all the way to the top of the card and beyond, which symbolizes our ability to connect heaven and earth. It asks us to connect what is happening in everyday life to our highest and best visions of what is possible. This connection to the all-knowing Godhead of the heavens also symbolizes that we have an innate ability to be more knowledgeable and to understand highly complex and interactive, even deliberately hidden connections. Can we simplify life and not get caught in confusion brought about by so many lies and false narratives? Can we connect our earthly power to heavens and build a heaven world, the kind of life here that this implies? The king on the throne wears a long blue robe symbolizing the need for a flowing kind of thinking and clarity, big time, flowing thought and clarity. Blue is always representative of the spirit of life, as well as a tendency toward the blues and depression. Heads up there. It's also a reminder that we are citizens of a much greater world than we perceive. Over the blue robe, the king wears a gray mantle, and the color gray represents not only a need for detachment from all those lies and narratives and stuff, but the habit of dampening or ignoring the joys of life while focusing on challenges, difficulties, and the problems caused by those lies and fake narratives. So this may be a direct warning to avoid getting too tangled up in those lies and changing narratives of the day, and forgetting that we are here to enjoy life We are here to enjoy life. Don't forget that. Just underneath the mantle, you can see that his sleeves are red. And this symbolizes handling things with passion and a healing decisiveness. Yes, it's time. The back of the throne shows a double set of sickle moons. And this represents, because of the moon, the realm of feelings, also dreams, and the ability to access the deeper side of the psyche. Yes. This calls for our intuitive assessment of the information and news we're being fed, even though there's a risk that those who have not done any inner work will be unable to correctly assess things because they have too many biases, fears, and prejudices. Have you done some inner work lately? It might be time. Underneath the sickle moons are a row of butterflies, and then underneath that, a row of children, or perhaps elves. It's kind of hard to tell. The butterflies tell us that mastery of knowledge and truth brings transformation, while the children represent a return to a world of childlike joy and trust in the goodness of life and others. Elves also represent a connection to the natural world. So all of this is counter to the gray mantle worn by the king, and once again reminds us to allow the joy of life to come forward as often as possible. It's really a wonderful world. The king holds a sword firmly in his right hand, and his posture and focus appear to be very present and ready for using it, that sword. The old saying comes to mind here, the pen is mightier than the sword. And this symbolizes that the intellect and its great power is to be used to settle differences, seek truth, and develop the wisdom to avoid the need to use the sword. Can I say that again? The pen is mightier than the sword. And that sword symbolizes the intellect, and that its great power is to be used to settle differences, seek truth, and develop the wisdom to avoid the need to use the sword. It says that what is truly needed cannot be achieved by calculated manipulation or fighting. If what is needed is peace, peace requires knowing thyself, knowing what you need, and being willing to communicate and work with others by finding out what they need, listening carefully, and then working out some kind of common sense agreement. Have we done that? There are big clouds in the sky, some of them extending all the way to the horizon. And the sky is a light blue, also symbolizing clarity and possibility, if one can learn to master words, thoughts, and opinions. Since the clouds come all the way down to the earth and extend to the horizon, this says that we may be dealing with the lies, fake narratives, and a smorgasbord of warnings and predictions for some time yet. The king's head is at a higher level than the clouds, and this, together with the two birds high in the sky, symbolizes the need to keep our heads above the clouds while maintaining a bigger perspective, a wider view of events unfolding around us. Have you been able to get beyond the narrow issues of left versus right or red versus blue? Are you seeing things from a planetary perspective? There are several trees in the background representing both Mother Nature and the family. This suggests that we may be able to restore a sense of balance and a feeling of being in charge if we stay connected to Mother Nature and the family. And that can be whatever kind of family you have built or maintained around you. The ground that the king sits on is green in some places, indicating productivity, and brown in others, like it's just been tilled, indicating places for new seeds to be planted or new awarenesses to take root. Above all, this card warns against a lack of commitment to the self and a failure to pay attention and deal with what affects you. I think that's maybe another way of saying take care of yourself first. This card reminds us that our success or failure depends on our ability to question ourselves, our motives, and how much we think we understand what's really happening behind the scenes. In other words, it asks us to stop jumping to wild conclusions and knee-jerk reactions and to assess the reality from the point of view of how much you can take before some kind of red line is crossed. It's a personal red line. Are you prepared to take charge of your life and take responsibility for your path and your survival? The King of Swords represents a consciousness that is expansive, forceful, and outgoing. It urges us to be analytical and to use our talents to the maximum. Kings do not have to brag or argue, and they typically do not have to explain. They observe, and then they decide and do. Keywords for this card are mature adult energy, conflict, communication, wisdom, fluid adaptability, clever, decision-making, logic, judgment, power, command, authority, law, perversity, effective strategy, and simplifying difficult matters. Question number 4. What advice does the animal kingdom have for us in July? And in looking for advice from the animal world, the card drawn was the wolf, number 15 in the animal medicine deck. This is a wonderful card and the symbol of the family as well as of the wild, untamed spirit of the true self. One of the beautiful things about the wolf is that it represents the teacher, the forerunner of new ideas who returns to the pack to teach and share good advice and healing medicine. Is this telling us we might benefit from investigating new ideas and sharing healing among ourselves? If there's anything wolves are known for, it is their extraordinary sense of family, their utter tolerance for their young ones, and the amazing social structure they sustain within the pack. It is a hierarchical structure led by an alpha male and an alpha female who come together for life and who are flexible enough to live with a touch of democracy or without it from time to time. The pack is open to absolute governance by the alpha pair, but because they all go out of their way to avoid conflict and fighting, this sometimes appears to look like abdication by the alphas. Is this telling us that we would do well to be flexible enough to enjoy our democracy, but be ready for times when we don't have it? Is the wolf teaching us that avoidance of fighting can sometimes look like not having a leader? And what about going out of our way to avoid conflict and fighting? Might this indicate getting out of our ruts and refusing to be part of something that embraces conflict and fighting? How far do we take this? The wolf and everyone in the pack understands that true freedom requires great discipline. And this is something the people in the West have forgotten. What is the discipline of truth? What is the discipline of responsibility? What has happened to the discipline of maturity? Wolves have a very complex communication system that uses both vocal communication and body language. The body language includes the use of posture, the position of the tail, direct eye contact or avoidance of eye contact, and even facial expressions. The advice here might have to do with making a bigger effort to communicate with one another directly by getting our heads out of our screens. Are we losing the ability to communicate verbally and vocally? Verbally involves a choice of words, but vocally is the tone of voice, the rhythm, the pitch, the rate of speaking, and the emphasis we place on one word over another. Are we losing the ability to recognize and decipher the nuances of body language? The wolf is known for its extreme intelligence, and this might indicate that we need to be using some extreme forms of intelligence to navigate at this time in our lives. The wolf also has a very interesting relationship with the raven. And they have been known to work together in the past, with the raven sometimes indicating where prey can be found. Does this point to the need to work with Mother Nature in order to survive and thrive? Wolves also have a sense of smell that is 100 times more powerful than the human sense of smell. This gives it an amazing level of discrimination in determining the proper behavior in any situation. The wolf literally smells the change of energy in those around it. This is associated with spiritual and psychic abilities, especially clairnescence, smell, because other people or animals may or may not smell things as keenly, and they think something magical or psychic is happening. It's really just the ability to smell that change of energy. The failure to detect energetic changes can lead to a wrong move that could be fatal, but the wolf will usually back away quietly, thus avoiding trouble. The advice here for us is to develop a nose for hidden change and energetic shifts that allow us to stay ahead of the game and out of harm's way. The direct message from the wolf is that it's time to breathe new life into your life by finding a new path, taking a new journey, and taking control of your life. Wolf advises us to do this with harmony and discipline, and to use one's intuitive side regularly in order for life to come alive at a whole new level of consciousness, allowing humanity to attain new heights of being. Wolf also advises us to take time alone, seek solitude, or find times and places that do not include other humans. The reason Wolf advises this is because those are the best times and the best ways to allow the inner teacher to come forward within you. And once this occurs, you will have your greatest teacher at your fingertips at all times. Question number 5. What advice does the plant kingdom have for us in July? I decided not to stop with the animal kingdom in looking for advice that would be helpful this month. Looks like kind of a rough month. So I opened my herbal astrology oracle deck, and after shuffling, I drew the card of Damiana, number 11 in the deck. This plant is not native to Michigan, so I'm not that familiar with it, but it is native to Central and South America, and its use dates back to ancient days. What was it used for? It was used for rejuvenation. And that may be the big piece of advice for us in the month of July. Damiana is sometimes called the beloved because it restores our love of life. It was often used also to restore sexual vitality and strengthen the reproductive system, as well as heal depression and anxiety. Recipes have been found among the Mayan people who used it as an aphrodisiac. It was also used to help settle indigestion, treat menstrual cramps, constipation, help relieve asthma and bronchitis, as well as headaches and stomach aches. Damiana is related to Venus and Pluto. Venus is a great symbol of love, and Pluto is known as the destroyer. Perhaps part of the advice for us is that although we see the old world being destroyed and the new world we would like to have is not quite yet on the horizon, we are not to despair. We need to fall in love with life again and restore our sexual vitality, as well as relieve our anxieties about the world. Although things seem to be falling apart at one level, they're really coming together at a whole new level. And we are being invited or perhaps tasked with a job of rejuvenating our world in a whole new way. If we take Damiana's rejuvenation advice to that new level, it represents the universal principle of love within all relationships. This includes our relationship within the self, the relationships within nations, the relationships between nations, and even between us and those ET humans who share our planet but are not obviously present and who take great pains to stay out of our way because we are so violent. Damiana is the representative of great beauty and art. It's also the ruler of metamorphosis. This includes reproduction, enrichment, transformation, and preservation of the human body. Is this telling us or reminding us that we are in the midst of a metamorphosis? I think we are. Is it that we are in the process of reproducing our world at a whole new level, eliminating all the flaws? Is it telling us we could stand a little more enrichment? Well, what kind of enrichment? I don't think it refers to money. I think it refers to beauty and art. And maybe it is saying that this month will be a month of transformation. And it's important to preserve the body. Damiana is a plant that reminds us that each of us is in an important period of making choices and establishing new and healthier boundaries. It encourages expansion and deepening of deliberately selected relationships, while at the same time giving us permission to shed or distance ourselves from those relationships that hold us back from holding our potential, relationships that rob us of our time and energy. This is a card that says pretty bluntly, shake off rigidity. Rigidity depletes creative reserves and it interferes with play, which is really play is useful work. Like the wolf above, Damiana also encourages taking time for solitude. in order to nourish your creative centers. For a great many, this will mean taking time away from phones and social media, but this is something that would benefit all of us. So that's it for this month. So let's sum up what we've said. What is the future of Israel was our first question. And I didn't ever draw a card to this question because immediately upon asking it, I heard a brief, succinct, blunt, but not harsh assessment of Israel and its possibilities. So I thought that assessment was interesting and probably useful. So I wrote down what I heard and left it as it came to me. Question number 2, what is the long-term outcome of Trump's bombing of Iran? This is our future. This card, the card drawn here was the 5 of Pentacles, a card that holds many messages and possibilities for valuable lessons, but most of them learned the hard way. This is the card of disruption and destitution. And since we are asking about long-term outcomes, the card of destitution, overcome by cooperation and working together, is a pretty powerful message. The stained glass window symbolizes that we will have to put the pieces back together again to create a beautiful, coherent world. This card also symbolizes a turning point, telling us that we will have to use all of our human talent and skills to clear something away in order to heal and restore the situation. Question number 3 was, given all the lies, the fake narratives and financial warnings, the political conflicts and dire predictions of disastrous earth changes, what is most helpful for us to know and prepare for? And the King of Swords was drawn in response to this question. And this is a powerful card that symbolizes taking charge of one's own perception and consciousness while creating one's own narrative. It asks us to become the master of knowledge in our lives rather than end up in confusion and manipulated by the lies, fake narratives, political jostling, and dire predictions coming at us. The King of Swords asks us to use our intuition to assess what we are being fed. It highlights our ability to grasp the truth and sort out the useful knowledge. It warns against forgetting the joy of life. Don't forget, we're here to enjoy life. And it demands a commitment to oneself and says we will need a connection or reconnection to Mother Nature. With these 2 things in hand, self and a secure connection to nature, we will then be able to assess reality, set good boundaries, and generally manage whatever's happening around us. And question number 3, what advice does the animal kingdom have for us in July? And this month's advice comes to us from the wolf. The wolf represents family and the wild spirit, which is actually the true spirit of the self that has not been tamed into submission. Wolf advises us to protect family and listen to the forerunners in society who bring new ideas, good advice, and healing medicine. Wolf has unending tolerance for the young ones, and they maintain a highly organized and peaceful social structure within the pack. That structure has an alpha male and alpha female, but it can reorganize in a moment to handle any situation. Wolf's advice is to develop the discipline of truth and to make a bigger effort to communicate face to face and eye to eye with one another in order to improve our ability to communicate. It advises us that it's time to breathe new life into life by finding a new path, taking a new journey, and getting control of your life. And lastly, question number 5, what does the plant kingdom have for us? What the plant kingdom offered was Damiana, a plant known as the beloved, because of its ability to restore the love of life, something that's sorely needed at this point in time across the entire Western world. This is the plant of rejuvenation. And its advice is that it's time to focus on great beauty, great art, great dreams, and to become involved in the metamorphosis of body, mind, and soul. We have to transform if we want to create a new world. Otherwise, we're going to create the same old crap. It advises us to allow a little more richness into our lives while expanding and deepening the relationship with ourselves and those around us. This is a card that says, shake off rigidity and get in motion with the flow of life. Like the wolf, it encourages taking time for solitude in order to rejuvenate yourself, which then rejuvenates the world. When you look at what the cards have presented us with this month, we are being given fair warning that our leaders may be taking us down a path that is not going to end well. Instead of wasting time crying about the path and our situation, we are definitely encouraged to come together as a family, both in the little family sense, as well as, you know, that your children and your siblings, et cetera, as well as the bigger family sense, which is the population you live within and who are also going through what you are going through. All of the advice is about having to come together and work together in new ways. We are being advised to become the master of our own thinking and our own ideas, to seek solitude now and then in order to gain clarity, to reconnect with Mother Nature in order to regain security, and to let ourselves discover and appreciate what we are accomplishing, which might be the beginning of a whole new way of life. So thank you for listening and have a great month. I will see you in August. Take care.